What's that? My friends, it is now time for the video on this thing that I like, this thing I'm excited about, because if it's a direct and it's a real big thing, I'm gonna make a video on it. But you know what? It's more than just that, though. It's more than just a thing I like. I honestly think there's more to it than that. Let me get there. Okay, so, Nintendo. They announced Metroid Prime Remastered. Yes, the rumors were true. Just the first game, not the trilogy. Yeah, it's disappointing, but like when I heard that rumor, I knew it was true. Because it's such a Nintendo thing to do, you know? It's just so you know, there's gonna be a good amount of like kind of pessimism in this video, but I'm hoping that that doesn't get in the way of the overall positive message I'm trying to deliver here. So yeah, I knew it had to be true. It just sounded too right. You know, it sounded too right. The whole trilogy, when they sold that, it was too good a deal. It was very uncharacteristic of them. So yeah, it's what it is. It's the first game. I'm not focusing on it's a good thing. This is a good thing, okay? It is very, very good. They announced Metroid Prime Remastered. But they did not stop there. Not only that, but it looks incredible. It is not just a simple upscaling of the resolution. Could have done that, but they didn't. It actually looks really, really good. They clearly put a lot of effort into actually like remaking and up-resing like textures and entire assets and stuff. Incredible. But not only that, it's only $40. It is not a full $60 release. It's only 40 bucks. But not only that. They shadow dropped it today. They shadow dropped it. A surprise reveal and release on the same day. So like naturally, especially for a Metroid fan such as myself, who is very fond of Metroid Prime, this makes for a very nice announcement. Or you know, maybe I would even say mind-meltingly amazing announcement. But like I said, even beyond that, even beyond this just being a really cool thing that I think is cool, I want to look at each of these individual parts of this thing because I can't just enjoy things. I have to analyze them and I have to try to like figure out what each part might mean and how it fits into the greater puzzle and what it might mean for the future. It's just the way I am. It's fun. This is how I have fun. So I'm doing that now, obviously. As always, could be wrong about all of this, but I feel like each of these things, each of these elements of this story is really important for like a lot of different reasons. I feel like this is significant. More than just being cool, I think it's significant. So let me tell you what I was expecting from a Metroid Prime remaster. And again, a lot of this is gonna sound pessimistic, but I'm just going off of experience. I've been a Nintendo fan for a really long time, and I've, you know, learned a lot about how they usually are. Nintendo does not like casual. They don't like little casual games. They don't like budget games. They don't like just kind of like throwing a little thing out there and like making that. You know, they do budget games sometimes. They do smaller games, sure. But they're fairly rare. Generally, if they're doing a game, they're gonna spend months, at least, hyping it up. It's gonna be part of their whole marketing cycle thing, and more than likely, they're going to sell it at full price, or close to it. There are so many games that we would just love quick remasters of. You know, like, you don't always need to reinvent the wheel. We'd rather have a simple remaster than no remaster at all. You don't need to get in there and change a bunch of stuff, you know? Like, just up-res it, give it to us for a good price. But no, like, they would usually rather doll it all up just enough to sell it for a lot of money, or just not do it at all. You know, the Wii U Zelda remasters come to mind. Like, it's great. Those are very good products, and it's really great that they made all those changes, but like, at the same time, it really did stink having to pay that much. You know, like, not quite full price in those cases, but just about. And actually, Twilight Princess, you had to buy an amiibo to get all the content, so like, yeah, basically, yeah, it was full price. I was expecting a similar treatment for Metroid Prime, especially because that game is very big. It's big and it's epic. It's not like the longest game in the world, but it's still like, it's a very meaty experience. I thought, especially with a game like that, you know, they would do enough to modernize the game and doll it up and then sell it for full price. Because they can, you know, simply because they can. They're Nintendo. Nintendo prices high, and then they don't lower those prices because they don't have to. They can do whatever they want. I am of the opinion, personally, that this has been bad for a lot of things, you know? This has killed, you could argue, some of their games, or put some of their games at a disadvantage. Not every game has the kind of selling power to, you know, get someone to pay 60 bucks for it, you know? If you ask me, sometimes it's more important for a game to find its audience, you know, especially if it's part of a struggling series. But Nintendo generally has shown that they would rather sell fewer copies at a higher price. They are nothing if not stubborn. And if they did this to Metroid Prime, I knew it would hurt its chances of getting into people's hands. And getting into people's hands is the most important thing for Metroid right now. I thought they would, yeah, they'd run it through the whole thing, the whole marketing cycle, prop it up and try to convince everyone it was worth shelling out 60 bucks on. And I assumed that it also wouldn't, I mean, it would work like a little bit, you know, it would sell a fine-ish amount and that would be it, you know? It's just what Nintendo does. But Nintendo did not do that. This game didn't even get a full reveal. It was literally part of the quick little Switch headlines, which is funny because I've come to expect, you know, not very little from the headlines, but nothing big. No big, you know, it's usually like third-party stuff. Not a lot of huge first-party stuff in the headlines, right? No, yeah, it was in the headlines. And then Shadow dropped. So, like, let's just take a step away from the fact that this is Metroid, just for a moment. This is a notable first-party Nintendo release. The importance of the fact that they Shadow dropped this cannot be overstated. Nintendo doesn't do Shadow drops. Have you noticed that? They don't do that. Little stuff, demos, that kind of thing, sure, but not full games. No, never. Not like notable fan favorite stuff that we've been clamoring for. No, like we joke about it. We kind of dream about it happening. Oh, wouldn't it be amazing if they Shadow dropped such and such? They don't though. It never happens, never. So just the simple fact that Nintendo did it in this case means now it's a thing that is technically possible to happen. Might not ever happen again. Absolutely. Could just not really be a thing. Just a special case. But even happening once is a big fat deal. But now back to Metroid specifically. The fact that they dropped this so casually and like didn't make a big fuss out of it, to me, that makes it feel like this might happen for the other two Prime games as well. Because here's another part. Here's another part of the big pessimistic mess that I was expecting. I expected them to give us a remaster of Prime 1, and that's it. I thought they would expect us to play Prime 4, having only played Prime 1 first. Because it's just a Nintendo thing to do. They're already expecting us to buy Pikmin 3 and 4 with zero easy access to 1 and 2. And as I've said many times, when you're talking about a struggling series, that is an incredibly stupid thing to do from a business perspective. I'm sorry, I know it's one of those harsh no-no words. You don't call people stupid, but it's stupid. So I expected the same for Metroid, because it's just a thing Nintendo likes to do. And sure, technically, it might still be a thing that does happen. It could be that this is the only remaster coming, the end. But this really opens the door for more. Because like if they had done a super hyped up full price remaster, that would not have left a lot of room for more of the same before Prime 4 comes out, you know? If they did that, it's just, that's too many games. That's too much marketing. That's too much to expect people to buy. But this? Like, For all we know, September Direct this year rolls around, boom, Metroid Prime 2. Oh, sometime next year, maybe next February, boom, Prime 3. And all of that leading up to Metroid Prime 4. Nice, casually, naturally, give everyone a chance to play all of these games. And just to take a little aside and look at the price thing again, yeah, I know there are plenty of people yelling at me right now, just being like, how can you think that this is cheap and casual? Because if we do get all 3 games, then that's gonna be $120. That's way more than the 60 we were expecting to pay. Like, I get it. $60 for all of them would have felt a lot more, whatever. But you know what? Even back then, even 3 games for 60, that felt uncharacteristically generous. That felt weirdly cheap. And then when they re-released it on Wii U, 20 for the whole thing, it was like, okay, that's a lot. This is a lot of game for a little money. So like, you know, maybe that was a little gift. It seemed too generous. No, all these years later, and especially if they're making them look this much better, $60 for all 3 games, just, it's not realistic, okay? Like, and these games are still so good. So like for me, 40 bucks, totally reasonable. So back to it, to me, it feels like they purposefully made this game affordable with a quick, casual reveal and release. And I can't stress enough how important this is. Not just for any game, not just for any series, but for Metroid in particular. Because this kind of like, available now, like that kind of hype, like this thing where all of a sudden everyone's instantly playing it and more are getting caught up in all the hype and maybe you're even buying it on impulse because of all that hype. It's crazy. That is the kind of stuff Metroid needs. That is a genius strategy. And if this really does open the door for similar remasters like I think it does, then Nintendo is doing a fantastic job of preparing this series for the release of Prime 4. They're doing everything in their power to ensure its success. They're not letting their greed, I'll just say greed, their high standards for pricing, let's put it that way, they're not letting that get in the way of what is the right decision. In the past, that the series and a lot of other series have not been so lucky. But right now, if this is indeed what they're doing, I can't praise them enough. Oh, and then of course, you know, just the icing on the cake. I just gotta say again, just how good the game looks, how much work they have clearly done on Prime 1. I never expected anything like this. Like, just the game already looks just years ahead of its time. It holds up so well, and yet they've done so much. They've given us all these control options, including like traditional twin stick controls. They've done everything right. It feels like they went above and beyond with how the game looks. And when you combine that with all the other stuff, the price, the crazy shadow drop, you have a very attractive product that people want to buy. For me, personally, just for like one last little bit of Nintendo downer stuff, it is rare for me to feel like a Nintendo product is spoiling me. It does happen, don't get me wrong. Plenty of games are like that. But a lot more often than I would like, I find myself, you know, grumbling about a price or like feeling like they put the bare minimum amount of content in a game, you know? Sometimes it feels like they put in like as little as they could get away with. But Metroid needed to not be a grumble game, a bare minimum game, you know? Like, no, this series needs favors. If they want it to succeed and flourish, it needs favors. And that's what this feels like. Nintendo is breaking away from their standard models in multiple different ways and giving us something that feels generous. It's relatively cheap, it looks unusually good for a remaster, and it's available right now. That is what Metroid needed. That is how you get new people picking up your game. That is how you attract them to your series so that when your new game comes out, whenever it comes out, you have more people who are willing to buy it. You offer people a little bit more than you normally would, and it makes them more likely to pick up this product and become longtime fans of your thing, of your series. And the fact that I think Nintendo is doing all of these things purposefully and doing everything very, very right for Metroid, it feels great. it is a good thing. That's the end of my point. It's a really, really good thing. And that is why I think this one game and all of these details surrounding it, they feel really important. They just feel really, really important. And again, I'll say again, again, separately from Metroid, Shadow Drop, that's not a thing. It's not a thing that they do. So that by itself is so important. That alone could be worth a video. As always, I could be wrong. You know, maybe this game was done years ago and they had to delay Metroid Prime 4, and now they're just throwing it out here because we don't care. We've had it gathering dust on the shelf for so long. We don't have the energy to go through all the marketing. Just give it to them for 40 bucks. Maybe this is, you know, not the usual. Maybe this truly is an exception that means nothing, but I don't know. I don't think so. But let me know what you think down in the comments. And in the meantime, I'm gonna go and keep working on videos instead of playing Metroid Prime Remastered, which is it's more painful than I can describe, but I got too many videos to make, so on to the next video. Here we go.